Wednesday, the 9th of August 2023. And this is Women's Day, and we as men, real men, are blessed to have women in our lives. And we must never forget, they go through their own frustrations, their own fears, their own insecurities. But they are the mothers of the future generations. And for that, we must respect them and we must protect them. And black guy sent me a message in which he told me that we, my tribe, have got a lot of vulnerable women and children in our tribe. By that implicating whatever you want to deduct from it, but I've got news for him. He's going to have a problem when he starts with that type of talks. But in any case, they don't want to listen, they don't want to learn. They look up north and they see what's happening in northern Africa and western Africa, and they, in their minds, that limited capacity minds, they only see a young black man that has taken control over this country. And that's all they see. They don't, for a moment, think about the things that will happen in that country, because that young man is not a 30% passer. That young man is different from them. But let's look at the good things in life. I've got a friend on Twitter, and he publishes threads from time to time about Russian artists. I'm going to read you 3 of his posts, and then I'm going to show you a little slideshow. The modern market of artworks is overfilled with copies of his genuine, original pictures, and they are being sold out. Such lifetime copying has never fallen to any artist. And the screenshot has got now that blemish on it, but it seems to me the guy's surname is Sattarov. Yes, it's Michael Sattarov. Was born in Moscow in 1963. He received classical professional education at the Moscow State Academy Art Institute, named after V.I. Surikov. He possesses a rare talent. His art mastership in painting is excellent and quite different genres. It is difficult to define what a master's best at: portraits, still lifes or landscapes. They are all magnificent. I showed you the wonderful winter landscapes. Sweet dreams. Now here's the slideshow. Enjoy. That guy is a fantastic artist, and I have a great admiration for a person that's got the talent to do what he is doing. But let's get to the news. And we start with the pestilence. The UK prepares for disease X in virus lab at top secret germ warfare centre. Take note, germ warfare centre. The UK Health Secretary Agency laboratory at Porton Down in Wiltshire is developing a prototype vaccines for a range of virus families. Those in charge of the vaccine development at the evaluation centre say those jabs could be adapted to hypothetical disease X in a repeat of the pestilence epidemic of 2020-2021. Now, all I'm going to say about this, I am gutful for the shit around this whole thing. We know it was a fucking major psyops and people died. And yeah, they openly publishes that they still doing the same shit. What the fuck is wrong with humanity? Can't you see what they're doing? And the madness doesn't end. Now this is an article that was published on the 7th of March. Exclusive, Ukraine seeks US cluster bombs to adapt for drone use, lawmakers say. Now I'm not going to read the whole fucking thing because this is something that makes me very angry. This immoral warmongers in the shithouse in Washington. They are every day planning ways to kill people. Just kill people. Their own fucking country is struggling. Their people is suffering. They're on the streets sleeping in gutters. But the cretins have got billions to pump into wars. When is Americans going to wake up and understand? Now that fucking Zotsis from Kiev wants cluster ammunition. And to do what with? To do exactly this with it. Results of Ukrainian shelling of civilian areas in Donetsk. Civilian areas. The Western citizens in Europe must understand one thing very clearly. The atrocities that are being committed with your money and under your government's blessings are killing thousands of Russians in the Donbass. Civilians, women, children, old men. You are in for a fucking surprise. Karma is a bitch. It's gonna come back for you because you allow your government to kill civilians in the Donbass. And then we get this. Russian troops quickly adapting to cluster bombs as Ukraine fails to reach main defensive lines. And I'm just going to read the last paragraph here. We're demining the fields with bodies. One Ukrainian platoon commander of Western trained brigades told the outlet, "It's awful." Another wounded in an apparent Russian missile strike during an attempt to advance said that of the 60 men involved in an assault on Russian positions, 45 had been killed. Take that. And then we get to that Joseph Gordon Borrell. This, I'm not going to call him a name because it will be a swear word. The EU upset with Russia's low-priced grain. Exactly, these fucking mongrels. Now they are turning their wrath towards the African leaders that are accepting cheap and free grain from Russia. No, they must not do that. They must starve. Their populations must starve. Don't take food from Russia. We, the Europeans, we will show you how we will destroy you. But whatever you do, don't take cheap food from Russia. Because our plan is to starve and kill you all. Fucking idiots. And then we get to this, and before I'm going to show you the slide that is applicable, I'm going to show you a little video. And this is a government official that has been dethroned in a coup. And the military leaders gave him 48 hours to show them where has all the money gone from the treasury. 48 hours or they kill him. And this is his response. Do I feel sorry for his pissing? No. And this is what will happen here in South Africa as well. The political leadership think they are beyond the law. They are above the law. They can steal millions and millions of taxpayers' money and take it for themselves and feed it to their Western puppet masters. And in the meantime, the people of South Africa are suffering. This is coming their way. They must understand it. 14 African countries forced by France to pay a colonial tax for the benefits of slavery and colonization. and I'm going to do a Skidmark on this specific. What is absolutely horrendous is all those colonies that were previously French colonies. If you see what the fuck is going on there in reality, you will understand why the people are now revolting. These fucking French has been stolen the lives of millions of people in those previous colonies. They've got a fucking system in place where up to 80% of the government's money, of the country's revenue, must be placed in the French banks, where the French have full control over that money, and that African states must come and beg them for money. And then they loan their own fucking money back to them at massive interest rates. I am beyond angry about this. Those Africans up in northern and central and western Africa, they must wipe the fucking French out that they catch in their countries. Every French official. They're a bunch of fucking pirates. Nothing better. They've been stealing the money from the people. 80% of their fucking revenue. And they want to stand there in their fucking castles in Europe and they want to talk morality and they want to talk democracy and they want to talk. Fuck them. They've had their way for long enough. Now listen to this. Victoria Nuland traveled to Niger and held talks with the military government officials. US Acting Deputy Secretary of State Victoria Nuland said on Monday that she traveled to Niger's capital and held talks with senior junta officials. She wants to fucking change what has been happening there, and she's threatening them like hell. And now the Americans are trying to start a major fucking war between 7 of the countries in North Africa. When will the African leaders understand that the Americans are there to destroy their countries and steal their mineral wealth? That's what they are. That's what they are doing there. That's all they are after. Keep the countries as poor as they can. Look what they have done to fucking Libya. Look what they did to Libya. Look what they're doing to Syria. They do not want any other country in the world to be successful. But their time is running out. They are spread fucking thin. 800 bases around the world. And those 800 bases will be wiped out overnight if the shit eats the fan. Mark my words. This Newland warmonger, the bitch, was here in South Africa as well. Look what is going on in the Cape. If you think there's no connection, think again. Then we get this one. Niger crisis sparks fears in France. Niger was rocked by a military takeover last month, with the new authorities freezing uranium and precious metals exports. France, which depends on the African nation for nearly a fifth of the uranium powering its nuclear power plants, has experienced its support by possible military intervention by a regional political bloc known as ECOWAS. So that's what they did. That's their fucking answer. They've been stealing Niger blind, and now those guys have had enough of their shit. Now they want to start a war. This is what they do. Meloni from Italy mentioned these things in her speeches just after she became leader of Italy. And Macron was fucking furious about it. But this is the reality. France has been stealing those countries blind. And that is now, it is payback time. I said it in one of my Skidmarks, a few of my Skidmarks. Europe is going to turn into a third world. Their days of plundering the rest of the world is over. It's over. And instead of building their countries to be competitive in a world market, no. They built their military fucking to go and steal more. That's what they did. But now payback time is here. I feel sorry for the Europeans, but I actually don't feel fucking sorry for them. They allowed their leadership to do all this shit. Now they're going to pay for it. I've listened to commentators that said that the Europeans, the average European's personal lifestyle is going to collapse It's going to be worse than in a third world country. Worse than in a third world country. Why will it be worse? Because the Europeans don't know what it is to be poor. And this little map is just to give you an idea of what the fuck is going on in Africa. All those red countries has already signed military agreements with Russia. And then we get this. Facing US pressure, Pakistan cancels Iran pipeline deal. I'm not going to read the whole article for you, but it's the same fucking shit all over the world. Now the Americans is fucking around with Pakistan because they did a pipeline deal with Iran. What the fuck? How can you dare to do business with Iran? We have sanctioned them. They blew up Germany's pipeline without blinking a fucking eye, wiping the German economy out. Now they're there. They're stirring shit with Pakistan. Pakistan has got a problem. Go and look where Pakistan is. Pakistan is not fucking next to America. Pakistan is sitting there in the east. They got to live with their neighbors, of which Iran is one. But in any case, things are going to change. And I'm sure I'm going to see it with my own eyes. Let me get this meme. America is a corpse being consumed by maggots. Liberals are rooting for the maggots. Conservatives are rooting for the corpse. And that is so fucking true. The American people is sitting, tweeting, and memeing and posting on Facebook while that corrupt cabal sitting in the shithouse in Washington is fucking their country sideways. And this meme is extremely appropriate and applicable. American geologists looking for oil. Look at that image. That is what the fuck is really going on. And then we get to that stupid people in Poland. Look at this. Another monument to Soviet soldier who liberated the country from Nazism has been demolished in Poland. Well, in a previous Skidmark I told you that the Poles are fucking nervous about Wagner on their borders. The Poles has got a major problem. The Polish people better take a look at their leadership and make a change, or they're going to go down the chute, the shit chute. And then we get to South Africa and we get to this fucking cretin. We need to unite as black people. There are less than 5 million whites in South Africa versus 45 million of us. We can kill all this white within 2 weeks. We have the army and the police. If those who are killing farmers can do it, what are you waiting for? Shoot the boer, kill the farmer. This is what is going on in South Africa. And I've got news for this little fucker. There is literally millions of blacks that are going to slit him for this shit he's talking. And then you get to this. Think tank. Gen Z is the last majority white age cohort. US projects to be a majority minority by 2045. And then it goes around how the demographics is changing in America. And I've got just one message for the Americans. Come and look what happened to us, the whites in South Africa. Look to what happened to us. How this country has now been fucked up beyond repair by the majority blacks. So you Americans, take a damn good look. Take a look at what is going on in Orania. If you want to survive, you white Americans, if you want to survive, you have to get out of that United States of America. You have to take your own states into your own hands and protect your own culture and your own lives. Otherwise, you're going to go the same way that we've gone in South Africa. And then we have some good news from Russia. Russian state officials should drive Russian-made cars. Putin. The Russian President Vladimir Putin said that the Russian state officials should drive Russian-made cars. He added that in some instances the experience is going to be less fancy than before, but that's all right. That is a good thing actually. And I can remember we had a drive like that here in South Africa also. And then we get to that crazy fucking UK, and their Minister of Defense, or what the hell he wants to call him, made a fucking insane statement to the press that the Ukrainian troops are battling and struggling to make any progress against the Russians because of foliage. The trees have leaves and the fields are full of grass. What the fuck is that? But the internet is merciless. Look at this. So will that be the next NATO game changer? And you can see it's weed whackers and lawn mowers and chainsaws and shit like that. Damn pro-Russian weeds. It's all because of them. The UK Ministry of Defence is trolled on the web, which claimed Bushes are to blame for the Ukrainian army's slow advance. Twitter users joke that lawnmowers is the next NATO miracle weapon. Here's what they write. Well, yes, grass usually grows on the battlefield. In all the previous wars, did they happen only after diligent mowing of grass by both sides? Wrote one user, while another added, in summer with abundant sunlight, more plants grow. Unbelievable. To women, how much did the British taxpayers pay for such amazing observations? Yeah, what can I say? And then we get to a very touchy thing. Maria Zakharova said, the Kiev regime is covering up illegal organ trade. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, woman, has alleged that Ukrainian President Zelensky administration members are personally engaged in and are covering up the illicit exports of human organs. Now I can't say more. Then we get this from the US. Now remember, this is the United States of America, where their people is sleeping in the gutters, where millions of them don't have enough to eat, where millions are total drug addicts. But does the government care? No, fuck that. Why spend our tax money on bettering the lives of our people? Let's make war! General Dynamics recently unveiled the newest Abrams X main battle tank. Look at that thing. There is so much bells and whistles there. I want to remind them to what is happening to the NATO equipment in the Donbass. That whole top structure of that tank can be mowed down by a machine gun. And then that tank is useless. Just like the German vehicles with all their fancy control systems. Hit a pothole and they're useless. But I have showed you video clips of that Russian officer telling the young Russian warriors what's happening to the NATO equipment on the battlefield. And more madness. Officials in Washington are making last-minute preparations to announce $200 million in a new military assistance to Ukraine. Now I'm going to stop there. The American people better wake up. Those fuckers in Washington is giving your country away. And then we have Sir Kabona Alfred. If tomorrow I become the President of South Africa, I will do the following. Abolish BEE, BEE and affirmative action. Kill affirmative action, kill tender system, privatize the state entities and all state farms to the people who want to farm, strengthen the borders. And you cannot imagine the responses in that thread on Twitter. And I'm going to call it Twitter, I'm not going to call it fucking X. X a gat, man. Twitter. That's what it is. And the racist was in full speed there. But this is real, this is the realities. And more from Sir Kabona Alfred. Let us all remember when whites arrived in 1652, there were no roads, schools, rail lines, hospitals, airport, hotels, taverns, police officers or shebeens and judiciary, gold mines or coal mines. There were mud houses and footpaths only. But I've got news for Sir Kabona Alfred. The current crop of leaders of South Africa is busy rectifying that, destroying roads, rails, schools, everything. They destroy, they are destructive. That is what they do. They can't help themselves. This is an email that a bondholder sent to his bank for his property that he bought, and he You can stop the video and you can read the whole damn thing, but in essence it comes down to he's asking the bank, he's got some problems, he's now paying this bond, but he believes now that the property will be taken away from him once he has paid it. So he wants to know how did the bank manage to get past that thing of not selling stolen goods or financing stolen goods. I don't think the bank answered him. And then we have this post from RSA individual, still having that international bullshit flag on his profile, but what can you say? Boers build South Africa's economy. ANC. Give us control of the economy, we know what we're doing. Economy, 0 GDP growth, 60% unemployment, criminals use violence to negotiate, 161 shopping centres destroyed. Boers build UNISA. ANC, give us total control of UNISA. We know what we are doing. And we all know what happened there. And then we get this tragic news. Einde van die pad vir Zimbabwean. Meeste bome op die landgoed is dood. Now, for those that don't know, Zimbabwean was one of the biggest citrus farms in the southern hemisphere. And it was an extremely successful farming operation. And then, what happened? Land claims and EEE. And Zimbabwean is now in black hands, and that once flourishing farm is down the toilet. Amazing how these things happen. And then we have this, and I recently found this guy on Twitter, Wanjuru Nyoya. But he is really giving these black racists the stick. This guy posted, Bantu Iber alles, 3 millennia of unstoppable African farmers reopening, repeopling the vast continent in the late 1700s, after more than a century colonizing the Cape of Good Hope's hinterlands. The Dutch settlers finally clashed with clans of Xhosa herders. This is what this guy posted. And then Wanjuru responds, this is the history of Bantu Iber alles. People sweeping across Africa, conquering and destroying other tribes. They swept to southern Africa where they encountered the Boer settlers who'd arrived over 100 years before them. True to form, they're still trying to destroy the Boers. Well, let that sink in. And then this last little snippet is something that the South African militant racist youth better take note of. The economic crisis in Zimbabwe is self-evident and well explained at ZANU-PF election rallies, where citizens are reduced to scavenging for bread, which is used as bait for people to attend these election rallies. The fact that the ruling party would do this to citizens and sees nothing wrong with it defines the type of leadership that has ruined the once prosperous country beyond recognition and what is used to be for its people. Corrupt rule has dehumanized Zimbabweans beyond description. They fell from Mugabe's political gutter to the Mnangagwa's corrupt rule that has sunk them into the sewer. And on that image you must take note. I wanted to play the video, but then I decided against it. They are throwing bread out of that truck. Yes, throwing into the grass and into the road and into the people there. Bread. And the people are running like hungry animals trying to get hold of a loaf of bread. That is what black government does for the people. And seeing I was so the bliksem in during this one, let's end it with some more appreciation of the women in our lives. Enjoy. I'm sure there's some images in there that has made people smile. There are some people that frown, and there may be some that are now very upset, but that doesn't really bother me. The fact of the matter is I get a message on one of my videos where the person reckons, I want to follow you, but first you have to close your fly and stop swearing. And I looked at it and I thought to myself, what the fuck is this? So I have to change who I am and what I am before that person will follow me. I can't understand the logics in some of the messages I get. But I want to thank the people that are supporting the channel, and especially those that are supporting the channel financially. I really appreciate that. And have a great Women's Day. And you must understand, if you are South African, you must braai. Have a great day.